And we live, I do believe. Let me make sure my sound is right though. Yeah, we live. All right, it's one of y'all in here. Um, y'all know, I feel like well, I'll let a few more of you load up before I even say anything. But yeah, it's crazy. What's up? What's up? What's up? I'll wait a little longer. Some of y'all at work. I know I don't have a regular job, so I can fuck around all day. Yo, what up? What up, King Dallas? What's good? Make sure you hit that like button while you're in here too. What's good? Okay, I guess we rolling. We rolling. Rain, sleet, hell, snow. Whoever join, join. Whoever don't, don't. The reason I'm making this video though, for those of you who were on yesterday, um, I've been doing like break. I was like a smoker last night, man. I just up doing breakdowns, right? And breaking down Cheeto. And what's up from New Orleans? What's good? What's good? What's good? Make sure you guys, when you join up, you hit the like button. All right, that lets people know that I'm on. And like I said, I'm being more consistent, so I'm trying to get this thing off the ground. So let's do it. But anyway, um, I always had a saying, and I think I heard it a long time ago that when you disrespect someone in public, you gotta apologize in public as well, right? And I'm a man about mine. So came at Chris Richard yesterday, and I meant what I said, right? But when I say something about somebody, I don't just leave it out in the ether. I'm going to go check it out. So while doing Cheeto's breakdown, something hit me, man. I was like, damn, Cheeto. I give Cheeto all of the, all of us do. We come at him crazy, right? And we came at Rashard yesterday about not using these guys to the best of their ability. I do still believe that Cheeto should be in the slot because he does play more like a safety. But when you watch the film of Cheeto and Byron and the way Rashard uses these guys, he has all of them doing exactly what they're good at. He only brings Jordan Lewis in when he has somebody he wants to shut down, in man coverage. Cheeto is really playing like a safety on 1/3 of the field. That's why he plays off so much because he's able to play off and use his eyes. Is it just that quarterbacks throw the ball underneath him and let him run and tackle, and that's how we keep everything, I guess, in front of this defense. We force the ball to Cheeto's side by playing off on that side. Okay, but that video just made me look at some shit. I said, "Yo, Cheeto hasn't given up any touchdowns." I said, how many touchdowns did he give up? He gave up the 92-yarder to Robbie Anderson, which happens to be the only big play in the air all year, period. I mean, all year. Big play, meaning any passing touchdowns over 20 yards, that's the only one, which is ridiculous, right? So I owe Chris Richard in this defense an apology for how well it's put together. We don't get enough turnovers, and it makes you feel some type of way because we are a drastically underachieving team. Even though if you look at three of our losses are combined for a total of 8 points. That's really where we're at. So, the difference between 8-1 and 5-4 is 8 points. That's it. And Green Bay was the only team that put up more than that, and that was a 10-point loss. So, at the end of the day, I got to give credit where credit is due. We are ranked 6 overall as far as defense is concerned right now, and that's only behind New England, San Fran, Buffalo, Chicago, Denver. That's it. Then there's us. As far as pressures on the quarterback, we're at the top of the league there. We don't get as many sacks as everyone else, but we get a hell of a lot of pressure, which is just as good. We get a lot of hurries and so on. So those guys are playing lights out football. Cheeto gave up 2 touchdowns. He gave up one in the Giants game to Lattimore, which was a confusing stacked trips formation that kind of tricked him. And then the other, he got bumped by Robbie Anderson and gave up that 92-yarder on a double move, where he was supposed to have his safety help too. But not making any excuses, he got beat. But 2 touchdowns, right? Byron's only given up one, and in total, we've given up 4 touchdowns to wide receivers this year. 4 out of the 9 passing touchdowns that we've given up. We've only given up 9 passing touchdowns, period, and 8 rushing touchdowns. All right, so that's pretty good, man. This defense is playing pretty damn good, and they're showing up against good teams. That's not even true, Grant. Gant. On the ground, good teams are gashing us, and I think I showed that and showed why good teams are gashing us on the ground. We need to shore up some things on the ground versus good teams. We probably need to stun a little less when we're playing teams that are committed to the run the way some of these teams have been. Because as far as QB ratings, look at the QB ratings for every quarterback that played us. Bum quarterbacks have put up yards. Eli's put up 300 yards, and Sam Darnold put up 330 only because of that 92 yarder that he had to Robbie Anderson. So outside of those two, and Eli had, I think, a screen pass that he had for 65 yards too. But no, yeah, I don't know. But anyway, quarterbacks don't play very well against us. Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, you name it. Any quarterback you name, or any team that even the teams we lost to, like, doesn't matter. Uh, Quarterbacks aren't ripping us apart. Teams aren't destroying us. Even the good teams, they're not coming in outclassing us. So when we talk that we don't play very well against good teams defensively, I wouldn't even say that. I would say that, like I said, we need to shore up some things in the running game. I think we are closer to being who we want to be than we think. And I'm glad that we came to this point though in the season though. I'm glad that we got to the point where the doom and gloom hit, because it made me kind of wake up and start looking at shit differently. But I started doing all these breakdowns. But while doing them, I realized, like I said, Cheeto don't give up shit. A lot of the credit that you give to Cheeto for getting beat, when you actually watch the film, not when you watch it live, Cheeto will be guarding two or three people on one play. Cheeto, like I said, I'm giving my apologies where apologies are due. He does need to make some more plays, get a few more interceptions. We need to force some interceptions. Maybe he needs to gamble a little more. But what he's asked to do on certain plays on his side of the field is essentially play safety. That's why he's playing off a lot. Byron is our man coverage side of the field, so he's just manning up. Jordan, when he gets in there, is usually manning up too. So the reason the reason that they have that issue, or he's having issues when it comes to um, looking like he's getting beat, is because he'll be playing one guy, he'll release that guy and then run to the next, and then the ball will be thrown, and all we see is Cheetos on this guy, and he's just barely missing the ball, but he was covering two or three people on that particular play. So I'm giving Cheeto his respect, man, and he's only given up 2 touchdowns. Byron's given up one, and then another receiving touchdown came to Richardson in that Washington game, and that was a slant, but that wasn't on anyone in particular. I think it might have been on Anthony Brown. But other than those 4 touchdowns to receivers, our secondary hasn't given up any touchdowns to receivers. Man, we don't give up touchdowns to receivers at all. Uh, Jordan Lewis has given up 0. Anthony Brown, how many touchdowns would you think he gave up this year for us to be talking about Anthony Brown the way we were talking about Anthony Brown? He has given up 0 touchdowns this year, which is probably why Chris Rashard hung in there so long with him, because we're not getting scorched in the air. It's not happening. It just feels like it for some reason. But we're not getting scorched. I think we're just going into lulls. And this team, honestly, it points back to not just the coaches not really teaching them situational football, but also them not understanding. They're young. They don't know how to execute, how to win these games. They're like young lions that are playing with the prey, because all these games we should be undefeated. And I'm not I'm like I said, I'm not like delusional when I say that. We should be undefeated just for the fact that if you look at our games, look at each game, we had a chance to win every last one of them, right? It's just that we don't know how to turn up and turn that on. We're a little lax in games where we need to find that edge. It's not existent right now. We think that we could just show up and beat people because we're better, and that's not the case, which is good for us, because now we're able to fly under the radar. Teams look at us like we're beatable. Teams come in and they think that we're a lot easier than our stats would show. But statistically on offense, we're beasts. Statistically on defense, we're beasts. It's crazy, man. I actually looked at it and I'm like, wow, I would have never thought that, we only gave up 9 touchdowns in the air, and 5 of them are to tight ends. And the only reason we're giving up touchdowns to tight ends is because good teams are play actioning us at the right time. But man, like that's that's ridiculous. I wouldn't have thought it. And you guys can go to Pro Football Reference. You can go to ESPN. Just look up defensive team defense stats for the season, and we're ranking high in almost every category except sacks. I think we got like 23 sacks, which we're okay there, but we're just not, at the top of that list. But we're at the top of the list of pressures. We're at the top of the list when it comes to opposing quarterbacks QBR. We're at the top of the list when it comes to total yardage. Top of the list when it comes to rushing touchdowns given up, passing touchdowns given up. We only gave up 9. We're getting beat by field goals and shit, man. We only gave up 9 passing touchdowns and 8 rushing touchdowns all year. To give you an understanding as to what that means, we gave up 4 of them against the Packers. 4 rushing touchdowns against the Packers, and we've only given up 8 all year. All right, we gave up 2 passing touchdowns against the Washington Redskins, um, 2 receivers, right? And after that, we only gave up 2 more the rest of the season so far. That's ridiculously good to wide receivers. That is, the rest were coming to tight ends, but that's not like there aren't many teams that have that. Like even teams that are ranking higher than us that you would say are better defenses, right? Baltimore, they're not ranking higher than us. They're not playing like we're playing. The total touchdowns for the entire season, we've given up 17 touchdowns the entire season. You know what I'm saying? So that's that's pretty damn good. That's pretty damn good. There aren't that many teams that are doing that. New England is playing like a phenomenal football. They're playing on a different level, but yeah, these are just different times, man. It's weird because, like I said, if you're looking at the Cheeto breakdown, I'm watching Cheeto now. I'm watching how we use him and what Rashard asks him to do. It's sort of what we want him doing, except for he's all the way out in space, which is using his eyes and playing off the ball and being able to use his instincts. I think you still need to move him inside based on what we're seeing on film, and move Jordan Lewis outside and just let him man up on whoever's out there and let Byron man up on whoever's on the outside and let Cheeto kind of figure everything else out in the middle of the field because he's doing a pretty good job at it. He's playing just as good as Xavier Woods. He's playing like a safety on that side of the field. You're not abusing him. He's playing pretty good over there. He hasn't given up anything big. Yeah, I'm up early, man. It's crazy. They got me working now, man. I felt like y'all needed me, man, and I needed it. I won't even lie. I feel like I don't know. I just want to be more active right now. Yeah, it's only 26 of y'all on here, but I'm all good with that. I was making this video so that people can watch it later, and I just didn't want to pre-record it. I wanted to talk live because, as I said, I came at the dude live. I came at Chris Rashard's neck live yesterday, saying that he's flying under the radar. He's not improving these guys. I still will say we didn't get better when it comes to the turnover ratio. That's true. But everywhere else, we're pretty damn good, man. Forced fumbles, we are at the top of the league there. Um, yeah, and missed tackles, I think we're like 68. We had like 68 rating there. We need to fix that, but we're still near the top of the list. Still near the top of the list. But that's what it is, man. Coffee with a Koye. Oh, damn, that's a good name, Pat. I might steal that. Coffee with a Koye. I like that. But I don't know how often you're gonna see me up this early though. All right, let's read what you guys are saying. Do you think the scheme we used for the Saints would have worked for the Vikings? Oh, you mean having Jordan Lewis follow Cook around? Um, no. The reason I say that is it wasn't like Cook was killing us in the air. He had 2 screen passes that he just cooked us on. Cooked us. But he had 2 screen passes that he cooked us on, and that's because LVE, I think, is playing like a bitch. But yeah, I don't think the game plan was even the problem. The game plan was fine. We didn't execute the game plan, which is the problem. On some of those screens, though, I think our defensive line does need to get a little bit more aware that teams want to throw those screens in behind our stunts. So, but the problem with that is the stunts only work if you do your job. So if I'm supposed to be wedging the guard in the center so that you can get around me on the outside as the 3 tech, right? And you want to come around, I have to do my job. I can't just peel off of that and say, hey, I'm reading screen. Let me leave this alone. You can, but if it's not a screen, now you've just screwed up the entire stunt. See what I'm saying? So the fact that we're stunting makes it so that those guys are a lot more robotic rather than being able to just pass rush and be cerebral. If you're just pass rushing or you're just rushing your gap and just standing your gap and doing your job, you can say, hey, fuck it. Only one I'm affecting if I don't get there is me, and I'm not getting there. So I'm just gonna peel off and try to get in the throwing lane of this screen. But when you're stunting, you kind of have a job to do. So I think that's what the problem is. Um, you don't want to leave your guy out to dry when you're stunting. So they don't really pay attention to the fact that teams are using that against them and throwing those screens in behind them. Outside of the screen game, though, we don't give up any major plays. The passing plays that are over 20 yards consistently have been against linebackers or screen passes where we recognize them late. Running backs have the most yardage in regards to big play yardage against us, other than the Robbie Anderson touchdown for 92 yards, which was a blip. And I say it's a blip because it's the only one we gave up over 20 yards, period, in the air to a receiver. Period. There's no team that can say that. Like, we are playing pretty good football. And it's good because we're able to fly under the radar as a good football team. At 5-4, we're leading the division, but people are looking at us like, this team saying, this guy saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys don't make the playoffs. I mean, I would be pretty pissed off if that happened. But looking at the fact that to the Jets, we lost by 2 points. To the Saints, we lost by 2 points. And we were able to, we had an opportunity to take control of those games and win those games in the end. And to who else? To um, Minnesota, we lost by 4. So that's 8 points total in those 3 losses. And then we lost by 10 to Green Bay, which really wasn't as lopsided as you would think because we came back and dominated the second half of that game. But no excuses there. Green Bay beat us handedly. Um, but those other 3 games, man, um, I wouldn't have been surprised if we were able to come out of that Saints game on top. I wouldn't have. I thought we would have came out on top of the Jets game. Like in the Saints game, we fumbled 2 times in the first half, of course, and we only lost by 2 points. How hard is that? I mean, on some real shit, no excuses. How many teams can do that? Like that's some real shit. We fumbled the ball 2 times in the first half against a good team with a good defense, and we lost by 2 points against the Saints, right? In the end of the game. The Jets, we let Dak get ripped apart that game. I think he threw an interception. I don't remember exactly what our turnovers were in that game. We missed a field goal. Gallup dropped like every pass you threw to him, like they were going right through his hands. And we still lost by 2 points and missed. We missed a field goal that should have been hit. We would have won by 1, but and Gallup was dropping everything there is to drop, and we still lost by only 2 points in that game. Um, and Dak got dismantled. He got sacked probably like 3 times, but he got hit probably like 12, I think. So with that said, like that's hard to do against Minnesota. We didn't make many mistakes as far as we didn't put the ball on the ground and all that. We almost threw a pick 6 or 2. Um, we'll say that, but at the end of the day, we lost by 4 points, and we had the game in our possession to win at the end. We just, I think we fumbled as far as coaching is concerned. We didn't do the right things. We didn't say the right thing. Yeah, it's damn slow starts. I feel you, man. When we play mistake free, even when we play mistakes, we're a different breed, bro. King Dallas, I agree there, but yeah, we are right where we need to be. I mean, just the film. I'm going off of the film. I'm not going off of no emotionalism, no misplaced fandom bullshit. When you watch the film and when you look at the stats, we're right where we need to be. We just need to settle down and just start playing the way we know we can play. We're playing good football right now, um, and I think that the season, even though we do have some tough games coming down the stretch, the season is still in our hands, still in our possession, as long as we turn up and do what we supposed to do at the end of it. What's up, baby girl? Hey, hey, you going to daycare? See you later. What's she doing? My daughter running around in the living room. You said the O line isn't playing up to its reputation. Um, nope, they're not. I won't even argue with you. They're not. They're not playing up to their rep. But um, Dak is playing a lot better, so it's still we're still there. I'm interested in that too, though, seeing what Suafilo can do as far as the run game. I think that's where he's strong. Where he's a little off is his feet. He's a little slow footed when it comes to pulling and all that. Like he's just not that guy when it comes to that. All right, babe. See you later. But yeah, he's not the guy when it comes to that. So as far as pulling and so on, he don't really have that. Um, but he is a strong guy. So I think Suafilo, he shores up the middle of the field. He shores up that A gap. I don't care what Vach says or anybody says, man. I don't care how good you say a guy is or isn't. If the team gets better when you're in and you make other people around you better, hey, so be it. And Suafilo, he did that for us last year, and I think he could do it again this year. Yeah. I think him and Joe Looney honestly are better for the run game than Fredericks and Connor Williams. I do. Joe Looney is not as cerebral as Fredericks when it comes to putting people in place for to pick up blitzes and so on. We might get Dak probably will get blindsided a lot more with Joe Looney in there because he's not the same guy when it comes to that. X's and O's and football IQ. But as far as mauling people, Joe Looney will maul you. He wants to maul you. As far as mauling people, Suafila will maul you. Period. So as far as our power run game, we would be better as far as power run is concerned. Um, with with Suafilu and Joe Looney. I just really know that, not believe it. It's just that's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, but as I said, for those of you who just joined, this video was really, an apology to Chris Rashard due to the fact that when looking at the statistics, when looking at how Cheeto's playing, when looking at how these guys are being used, my critiques yesterday were this. I said that at the end of it, Chris Rashard is not using these guys to the best of their ability. He's being very stubborn with his scheme, which he is stubborn to a degree with his scheme. But when you watch when you look at the skill sets of our players and of our secondary, and you watch how they're being used, they're all being used exactly how they should be being used. To be honest, maybe not safeties, but Cheeto is playing more like a safety than a corner. We use him in zone only or primarily, and we allow him to use his eyes, which is why they pull him off the ball. And when you have a single high safety, that single high safety is usually floating over the middle of the field, allowing Byron to play singled up on the outside. Cheeto is playing, the thirds coverage on that side of the field and covering two or three guys. And what teams are doing, which is why Cheeto gets more action than anybody else on the team. Teams are running, trips and running routes, double routes into his zone. So they'll run a guy underneath Cheeto's zone. Cheeto will peel off of his guy out of that zone and come down and crash down on and make the tackle. But that's what teams are trying to do. That's the game plan against us. And that's actually where Rashard is funneling the ball to. He funnels all the action to Cheeto. He mans up on the side where Byron is so that you're probably not throwing over there. And then he rolls his zone underneath everything else on the other side. So, I mean, to me, that's pretty damn good football. That's sound football. That's sound football. We're playing sound football. We just need to shore up some things. But this isn't a long one. I'm still in the middle of some breakdowns. I got some coming. Yeah, I don't know. Like YouTube's algorithm, and I'm not trying to come at YouTube, but their algorithm is real weird, man, because a lot of you are saying that you don't see my videos, you don't notice my videos, and I've noticed that the viewership on videos have gone down like crazy. Yeah, like crazy. It's like it's just different. But not complaining. It's just I'm noticing that things are a little shiftier. So what I'm going to do is just start flooding the airways with as much content as possible, man. That's what it is. But yeah, I made this video, like I said, because I'm a man. He said, "Why we never try Cheeto at safety?" Uh, yeah. Uh he's kind of playing safety. That's what I'm trying to say. Like he needs to play nickel, I think. But Cheeto plays like a safety. I don't have a problem with the way Cheeto's playing because he's playing like a safety for real. When you look at his side of the field and look at what he's doing, he watches underneath in that flat on his side and he watches slants. So he steps back and he either converges on the slant or he crashes down on the flat. And then if someone tries to float past him and he knows he doesn't have help, he carries that up the field and lets his linebackers come underneath. What they can do to help him out a little bit more though is reroute some of those guys, have some linebackers rerouting underneath him so that he can get to the route quicker, or even himself, like he needs to reroute and push guys into his linebackers when they run those bunch formations and trip formations. We just play off, and then it allows free releases. And then you'll see things like Cheeto, scrambling to get to the ball. But for the most part, Cheeto's been playing solid, man. He gets caught every once in a while on pass interferences. He doesn't turn around and look for the ball. But if you're going to be mad at Cheeto for not looking for the ball, be mad at the entire back half of this team, because nobody looks for the ball, because nobody gets interceptions, nobody gets any pass breakups. So what are you gonna say about Cheeto? Yeah, leave him alone. Yep. Yeah, y'all should all turn that bell on, man. Hit that notification button. Make sure you got it on. His trail technique doesn't suck, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Why? Like, you gotta watch Elrod. I'm not gonna just say some shit. I'm not gonna just say it. You're like, I'm not gonna say it unless I see it. Right? His trail. I was coming at Cheeto neck yesterday with y'all. That's why I'm apologizing today. I was coming at Rashard's neck with y'all. So if I'm watching the film and I'm looking at the stats, um, I can't make shit up on him. Cheeto, I'm watching this film. Cheeto gets credited for getting beat on plays where he was covering maybe two or three guys. He'll cover a guy up the field. He'll hand that off to his safety once he gets up the field. Then he comes down and he'll crash down, like he did it against Dallas Goedert, right? He did it against Alshon Jeffrey. Like he'll be covering a guy, he'll peel off that guy and then go cover the next guy, and then the ball is thrown and you'll see him covering this guy, right? And he'll barely get there, but he gets there. And I'm like, that's not as bad as it looked when you watched it live. You just watched him get beat for a pass, right? But when you're watching his responsibilities and you say, hey, this guy has more responsibilities on this defense than Byron Jones. Byron Jones asks to take his guy out, whoever that is, and make it simple for him because he doesn't have the same IQ as Cheeto. Cheeto is asked to do a lot more because everything is coming at Cheeto, and he has to either play off coverage. Sometimes he plays a little press. He does what Byron does at times, where he's just asked to man up against the guy. He'll do that too, and play pretty effectively. And the passes that have been caught against him have been like circus catches. They're right. He's right there. Like against Miami, he got beat twice. Um, uh, Fitzpatrick did like a pirouette, came out of the pile and did an Eli to David Tyree type throw. And Cheeto was just like, he lost the ball carrier. I mean, he lost the receiver for a second. For a second. That's it. When you look at Lattimore had like a one-handed catch on his helmet against Cheeto. When you look at Robbie Anderson beat him. That's it. That's the only person who beat Cheeto this year. When you see him you know, actually playing. So for me, when you watch what he's doing on the coach's film, don't watch the broadcast film. Watch the coach's film. When you watch what he's doing and you see what he's able to do, not only against the run on that side, you can't run to that side of the field with Cheeto out there. He's crashing down and he's making something happen. Byron has been giving up contained sometimes on his side, but Byron's always done that. But Cheeto's coming down, cutting under blockers. He's playing a lot more aggressive, even when he's dealing with linemen. He plays a lot more aggressive and a lot more sound than LVE when dealing with blockers. He sheds blockers. He's like an Antoine Winfield. That's the best way I can describe it. He's a hitter more so than a cover guy. He will come and hit you, and he plays corner like a safety, and that's how we're using him, like a safety. I do want to, because of that though. I think you should push him inside. If we push him inside, I think he can jump a little bit more. He can be a little bit more creative because he doesn't have that deep end of the field responsibility anymore. He would be able to play down in the trenches in that robber technique, and that would be to his benefit. He said, "Who the hell is Aaron Jones?" Yeah, but like I said, man, Ghost. Aaron Jones had 4 touchdowns against us, right? Right? We only gave up 8 rushing touchdowns this entire year. 4 of them came in one game, bro. One game. That's what I'm trying to say to you. This defense is playing pretty fucking good, man. One guy gashed us because we were overly concerned with what Aaron Rodgers can do. But outside of that, nah, man. Yeah, exactly my point. Like, you making my point when you come at it. Like, anything you say, about this secondary or about this team right now, other than the fact that LVE is playing like a bitch. Anything you say, can be countered with real facts, man. No emotional shit, none of that. Real facts. It's hard to be 10 games into a season or 9 games into the season and, to only have given up 17 touchdowns total. That's very difficult. We're playing pretty good, man. We're playing pretty good. And like I said, you can call it peace talk, call it whatever you want to call it, but um, give credit where credit is due. This team is a lot better than we're giving it credit for, and those losses were close, which is why we're pissed off. But wouldn't you be more concerned at this point as far as coaching and so on if those losses were like lopsided losses to the Jets, lopsided losses to the Vikings, lopsided. We don't have any lopsided losses where we just, got our asses handed to us. That's what's frustrating. It's because you guys know that we should be winning. That's why everybody's coming for the coaches. We should be winning due to the fact that we have the power to close these games out. In each game, the game didn't get away from us to a point where we couldn't have won those games. There's not one game that we haven't been in this season, and that's actually good. There are teams that we give credit to with that, like the Chargers a couple of years ago, with Anthony Lynn his first year. He was losing by 3 points or less almost every game. They were in every game, and then from that, I mean, they didn't like ascend or anything like that, but that's where teams learn how to win close games. When you're always in close games, you can't get opportunities to, be that cardiac kid or that fourth quarter comeback guy, or even defenses that kind of shut close out games unless you get opportunities to do it. And right now, these are what you call growing pains, man. Growing pains. That's what they are. I don't think that the season is over. I know the season isn't over because the way we're playing teams, we're competitive. I know that the locker room isn't lost, and it's not doom and gloom. You guys can go and do what you want to do when it comes to that. You can bitch, moan, whatever, right? But at the end of the day, um, the stats don't lie. Just go and look at our stats and go watch the film. When you watch the film, you kind of understand what teams are doing against us and how we're losing some of these games. But you can't anticipate, like I said, fumbling twice against the Saints. You can't anticipate missed field goals and drop passes galore, and dumb play calls against the Jets. And a 92 yarder that's an anomaly. We don't give up that, we don't lose. But hey, these things happen. That's why it's called football. Season isn't over at all, though. Let's get it. Exactly, man. He said our defense isn't. I mean, it's good, especially when almost every game we lose the field position battle and only give up field goals. We lost to the Saints by 4 field goals. They didn't score not one touchdown. See what I'm saying? Like, and we went through a stretch against the Saints and the Dolphins and Green Bay, where we didn't give up a touchdown in the air at all for 3 weeks. Nobody threw a passing touchdown against us for 3 weeks straight. Then after that, I think we got beat by the Jets for that 92-yard bomb, and then I think their tight end scored too. But other than that, like we've had stretches in this season where this defense has looked great. We just we don't force the turnovers. We need uh, to force more turnovers, and we need to play a little bit more aggressive, I think. But as far as uh, this team is concerned, season ain't over, man. We got it. We got it. But I'm about to get back to my breakdowns. I see it's 40 of y'all on here. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. It's time to pay some bills too. The season is just halfway. It's halfway over, man. Make sure you guys are paying attention to our sponsors, BetOnline.ag. CLNS Media has a contest that they're offering with betonline.ag. They're matching your initial deposit up to $1,000. You have to make a minimum deposit of 55. But you guys can bet on anything. You can bet on whether or not the Cowboys make the playoffs. You can bet on whether Dak gets MVP this year. Bet on whatever you want. But betonline.ag, make sure you guys are using it. Use promo code CLNS 50 for credit. And remember, that's betonline.ag, our number one sports betting partners here on AKOYE Media. So make sure you guys are using that. Remember, um, at the end of the day, man, we prove shit with the film over here. So let me get back to that. But make sure you guys are sharing these videos too, man. Share them on your social media platforms. And you guys can repost all you want as long as you give credit where credit is due. Don't try to steal my shit and and take credit for it. That's when I get mad. Other than that, share it up, show love. Got you, man. But I'm out. Peace.